Hi everyone, Stepan here. I'm gonna show you my round, or not my round 4 game, my 4th game on Lichessladders. So I was challenged by Peace Enda, and well, I didn't really have good prep, but the way Lichessladders works, if you don't know, there's a ladder 60 plus 30, which I'm playing, and people 2 spots below you can challenge you to a game. If they beat you, they advance past you, or they take up your position. And there's a new feature on Lichessladders called tournaments and teams. I haven't tried that yet because I'd been in Poland until 2 days ago. So the tournament is a layer on top of the Lichessladders. So all you need to do as a player is choose a team to belong to. Okay, so there's Chess Dojo. They are known. Triceratops and 45-45. Okay. At the end of the season, the winning team is announced. Any games you play will gather points for your team. Okay, nice. Link your Discord account to join a team. I don't have a Discord account yet, but I think I should do that. So, if we go over to the ladders, yeah, this is the guy I played in this game, and this is the guy who beat me, Muhammad 876. He's in first place now with 2329 rating. Okay, I'm still trying to climb back to the top. The link to the ladder is below. Let's go to the game. My opponent played pawn to e4, and I played c6. After knight f3, d5, my opponent played d3. And there are certain drawbacks to taking this pawn. This is the famous Caro-Kann endgame, where you take on e4. Let me just get my coffee, excuse me. You take on e4, they play d4, you exchange queens, but the endgame is favorable for white, in my opinion. There are other ways to play this, but I played g6, and g6 is a flexible move that allows me to go into a Breyer Caro-Kann, or you could call it a King's Indian attack or the Old Indian for white, depending on what white does. Now, white could play knight bd2, white could also play g3, but my opponent played bishop e2, and this is now a sort of an Old Indian in reverse, where white is just playing a relatively non-ambitious opening. Okay, bishop g7. And for black, the main idea here is not to play a normal Caro-Kann with e6, but actually to play e5 as quickly as possible. So castles, e5. Okay, and this pawn could be a problem. So what black normally does is this knight goes to e7, black castles, and then you want to play knight d7 to overprotect this pawn, or if white threatens rook e1 and taking with more pressure on e5, then you sometimes play d4. However, that's very unlikely considering that the bishop is on e2 and not on g2. If the bishop was on g2, then the rook would have access to e5. So in this case, there's really no need to play d4, because the only way to put more pressure on e5 would be, with the bishop on b2 or something like that. White played c3, which is a move I don't think is necessary. You want to play c3 when the bishop is on g2, so that you can actually go rook e1, and black wants to play d4. In this case, black doesn't want to play d4 because the pawn on e5 isn't under pressure. So ideally, black keeps the pawn duo on e5 and d5 very flexible. I'm going to turn on the engine so that you guys can see the eval bar moving, shifting. Can you guys see it? You should be able to see it. So at this point, it's about equal. I played knight e7, my opponent played rook e1, and again, if the bishop was on g2, this would make way more sense, and at this point, if c3 wasn't on the board, I would go d4, because white would be threatening ed5, cd5, followed by knight e5, winning a pawn. But now I can just castle. Bishop f1, and now the same thing is threatened. However, white has wasted a tempo, technically. Queen c7 defending the pawn, that seemed forced. The engine says d4, but I don't really want to give my opponent flexibility with the e-pawn. Okay, who am I to disagree with the engine, but hey. Queen c7, okay, now is the best move. I didn't really want to go knight d7, even though that seems like the most natural move, because that blocks in my bishop. Rook e8 is also an option, because on ed I can play knight d, defending the pawn. But queen c7 is fine. Knight a3. I didn't really know what to do with knight a3. I was kind of expecting the knight to go to b5 after ed, cd, knight b5, but I can always move my queen back either to d8 or to b8 or even to b6. So I wasn't worried about that. That being said, if the knight goes to d2, what's the knight doing on d2? It doesn't really have a future because the knight's already on f3, the bishop is on f1. Okay, knight d7 now. I'll tell you why I didn't want to go bishop e6 here. I didn't want to go bishop e6 because there's knight g5. I didn't want to go bishop g4 because there's h3, and I'm not sure I want to give away my bishop. Now you can see here that the engine says bishop g4, h3, bishop f3 is the best move. I didn't want to do that. Alternatively, in order to prepare bishop e6, I could go h6, but that seemed slightly slow. ed, if I go cd now, there actually is knight e5 with knight b5, so I had to move my knight first to be able to play queen b8 on knight b5, otherwise I lose my pawn, so yeah. Now this game was 2 weeks ago, so I don't remember all the subtleties. I played the tournament, I just came back home, so the game isn't as fresh. Okay, knight d7, bishop e3. Bishop e3 seems like a normal move to me. The engine says black is slightly better. h6, best move, noise. ed, cd, and now on knight b5 I can move my queen back. So queen b8. I don't want to go queen d8 because of knight b6. Knight d6, I don't want to lose my c8 bishop. a4, okay. I played king h7 because I want to go f5. b4, wow. I didn't think I had a significant advantage. I knew I was going to chase the knight away, but this is... Okay, and here, obviously, as you can see, e4 has a question mark next to it. The engine plays b6 and bishop b7, and that does make a lot of sense. I got really tempted with this bishop c3 idea, and can you guys see the times? No. I'm gonna expand this a bit so that you can see the clock times as well. Excuse me. Yeah, so at this point I had 55 minutes on the clock. My opponent had 59. And when I played e4, well, yeah, I played it pretty quickly because I wanted to take bishop, I want to play bishop takes c3. Now the engine says this is a mistake because of de4. What? And on bishop c3, bishop d2, bishop a1, queen a1, this is fine? Okay, I just assumed that this was great for black. Apparently it's slightly better for white. But my opponent played knight d4, which is a move I'd been expecting, which is fine. And now I made another mistake. My next idea here was to just trap the bishop, because f5, f4, you know, forces the bishop back. It does give away the e6 square, so I actually had to do a lot of calculation here. I played f5, which is a big mistake, okay? I spent about 4 minutes. And on knight e6, I was thinking I take on c3. Well, basically this forced line happens, but apparently white is much better. Bishop c3, knight f8 check, knight f8, and I'm still winning the exchange back. Yeah, I had missed bishop takes h6. I didn't see bishop takes h6. The point being, if I take the bishop on h6, there is queen c1 winning my bishop on c3. I'd completely missed that. So now I have to do something, but my knight is hanging. So if I take on c1, I thought if I took on e1, they would take on f8, and they would. And then the engine says bishop b4. That doesn't make any sense to me. Wait a minute. Bishop e1, bishop f8, bishop b4. What happens on bishop e7? Oh, I'm defending e7. I'm an idiot. I didn't even see that. Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't see that. In any case, I played knight e6, defending my knight, and the exchange is still hanging. He played bishop d2, bishop a1. Now we get the same type of position where I took on c3 and on a1, but I don't have a pawn on h6. So the engine preferred white in this position with the pawn on h6. Of course, this is better for white. Queen a1, okay. And inaccuracy, bishop d7 was best. I was simply trying to prevent the queen from coming to f6. I was terrified of queen f6. But apparently the engine doesn't even play queen f6. Yeah, I have queen f8. When I move my bishop, I have queen f8. That makes way more sense. I can defend f6 once the queen reaches f6. And I guess I'm not afraid of queen h4? Wait, let's have a look at that. Queen f6, queen f8, queen h4, queen king g8. This looks very scary. Bishop c3. And I just don't care about this? Okay, I mean, hopefully you can understand the move knight g8. This just, wow, okay, I'm losing now, but it just doesn't allow queen f6. Okay, d4 played, fe4, knight c2, queen d6 centralizing finally, knight d4 inaccurate, finally bishop d7, rook c1, rook f8. Yeah, now I wanted to go e3. I wanted to go e3 and I wanted to bring my knight back to f5. So knight e7, knight f5. My opponent took, I took back with the bishop, queen d4, knight e7, the knight's coming to f5, b5, knight f5, and e3 is coming. Okay, queen a7, rook f7, I have to defend on b7. I am losing a pawn, but there's nothing I could have done. I'm losing something. So takes, and queen takes. Now, of course, I don't want to trade queens here. My only hope is d4, e3, or just e3, so I declined. And my opponent played rook c6, which is a blunder. I played e3 on the next move. I thought I could throw in bishop d7 and then go e3, but the engine says e3 straight away. So e3, bishop e3, bishop d7. Wait, why am I offline? Sorry about this, I need to reconnect. Okay, in any case, I played bishop d7, which isn't such a huge difference. Rook takes g6, I did see that, but I thought I had e3 here. Because the g6 pawn doesn't really matter, h6 is defended. Unless my opponent wants to play rook h6 and, you know, do that. But now I have e3, so rook h6 I can just take it. fe3, knight e3, threatening to take on f1. So rook h6 check, king g8, rook g6 check, king h7. Yeah, and now I thought my opponent should repeat. Of course, I'm down 2 pawns, so I have no trouble going for a draw. I think he should have repeated, but he took on e3. And now I was really happy. This is just winning for me. I knew it was winning for once. Queen e3 check, king h1, and of course rook f1. After queen f1, I just take the rook. Okay, and we have this very, very technical, for me, endgame, where I'm slightly worried about the a4 pawn. And I don't know why I keep getting disconnected. My connection is unstable. I'm on my mobile network. So my opponent played queen a6, of course, and I played bishop e6, just covering that. And I want to go d4, d3, d2, and queen. However, h4, giving his king some luft. I mean, you can see that the engine says -5. It felt winning, it didn't feel so winning. h4, I mean, he should have gone h3 because this just loses a pawn with check. I went queen e1, king h2, queen h4. Okay, king g1, now it's the same position without the h pawn, queen e4. a mistake. I should have gone Queen E1 again. Queen E1, King H2, Queen E5. Oh, that way, that makes more sense. Okay, I thought Queen E4 would be better because it supports my pawn all the way up to D3. A5, D4, Queen D6, Queen E3 check, King H1. I suspected this to be the case. I had 21 minutes left at this point, and I should have gone. The engine says King F5 or Queen H6 check. Yeah, if I go Queen F5, okay, sorry, King F5, I'm offline again. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. I cannot show you any other lines that haven't been prepared because I'm offline. So I'll just show you what happened in the game. But basically I shouldn't allow my bishop to be pinned, and I need to go King F5 slowly and then maybe Queen E5 followed by Bishop D5. But I played D3, and D3 loses all of my advantage. The most natural move just leads to a dead draw because my opponent plays A6. And now every line I looked at leads to the exact same position. There's nothing I can do. D2, well, if I don't play D2, I can play Queen E1, but again, it leads to the same position. So D2, A7, and my opponent's gonna Queen E1 check, King H2, D1 equals Queen, my opponent trades queens, and that's the end of the game. Queen D6, I cannot do anything because I don't have enough time. I played Bishop D5, but once again, I'm trying to play Queen H3 and stuff like that, but I don't have time. Queen A4, Queen G3, want to go Queen H3, but now my opponent starts checking. And all my opponent has to do is trade queens. Once he trades queens, I cannot win with the bishop, and there are a million checks. He just kept checking me. I tried to run away to bring my queen to my king, but then I just blundered this check and the game was a draw. So I did manage to keep my position on the ladders, but I didn't manage to win the game, which is unfortunate. I was, however, losing when I played that Bishop C3 idea, so what can you do? Yeah, I also played the next game, which I'm going to show you soon. If you guys want to join the battle on Lichessladders, follow the link below. It's really fun, it's completely free, and you get to play serious long format games on Liches. Bye.